if you're good at something, you don't do it for free. Coaching is investment. Like, my success is your success. If I'm having the coaching conversation with you, I have a vested interest in you. I can tell in the first 30 minutes sitting around the table whether A, it's a culture of coaching, and B, what the heck is this culture? I can get on a call if you're lecturing me, commanding me, we need to do this, we need to do that. Well, if you know what the heck you need to do, what do you need me for? Never fear the titles, because don't forget who's driving the success of the organization. It's the people in the workshops. I would say the investment sometimes is overdone on technology and underdone on people. AI absolutely has changed the way we work. Is it going to replace some jobs? Yes, it will. If you haven't embraced AI yet, shame on you. Don't avoid it. Like, start learning about it. Start understanding what it does. People are still the ones making the decision. The future of training is not training. It's actual learning in the flow of work, and AI keeping you accountable to your work and how you can get better at your work, not the general work.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next installment of the FLIGBY in Action Live Leadership Series. As always, I'm Dr. Howard Fero, and I'm excited to be with you guys talking about topics that I think are real important, talking about leadership. So today, I want to tell you a little bit about our guest and a little bit about our topic that I'm sure you've read about already. But first, I do want to say, so this was supposed to be our last session. As you know, last week we were supposed to meet with Commissioner Ronnell Higgins of the Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection for the state of Connecticut. But you know what? Commissioners get busy, and unfortunately, he did have to reschedule. So we will be seeing him next Friday, and I'll talk more about that later on when we finish up with today's session. So today's topic is the future of talent development from training to transformation. And, you know, this is a really important one. Organizations spend billions of dollars each year on training. And one of the biggest challenges always remains, how do you take that training and turn it to action? How do you make lasting behavioral change? And today what we're going to do is explore what truly develops people, from experiential learning to coaching to simulations like FLIGBY and other approaches that help individuals and organizations to reach their full potential. It's my pleasure today to have today's guest, Dr. Christopher Berg. Chris is the founder and CEO of Go Berg or Go Home, an AI-powered consulting, leadership development, and workforce strategy firm. He also serves as an executive with ADP, where he leads professional services advisory, helping organizations improve workforce performance through strategic consulting and organizational transformation. Chris has coached and advised thousands of professionals throughout his career and is a recognized thought leader on leadership, talent development, workforce strategy, and the future of work. So he fits right in with today's topic. He also serves as an adjunct professor at Albertus Magnus College, where I met Chris. So on this personal note, today's webinar is really special for me. I first met Chris when he was a student in my master's program, my master's in leadership program at Albertus, and I later had the privilege of serving on his doctoral dissertation committee, even attending his wedding, and now I have the opportunity to teach alongside him as a colleague. It's been incredibly rewarding to watch his journey from student to thought leader, and I'm also proud to call him a friend. So Chris, welcome. It is so great to have you here with us today.
Thank you, Dr. Fero. I know you always yell at me for calling you Dr. Fero. Is it Howard, H? So I might interchange those names, but full circle is an understatement. I appreciate everything you've done for me, which you continue to do for me, and I'm really excited for this conversation.
Well, thanks. That always means a lot, and I love talking to you about leadership and other stuff as well. So for those of you who don't know your journey and your story, I just figured I'd start off, you can just tell us a little bit about that journey, kind of what sparked your passion for leadership, talent development, and what kind of gets you going in terms of helping organizations prepare for the future of work.
Yeah, my journey is unlike anyone you probably have ever spoken with. I grew up in New Haven, Connecticut. Didn't come from much, but I had some really good people in my life, and I learned at a very early age, when I was in need of a lot of help, that some people, especially some people from Albertus, really helped me navigate some tough times. And that's when I started really trusting in people and learning how to trust in people. Various different careers. I went from becoming a major in teaching at Albertus. Quite honestly, I always loved learning and development. That's why I went into teaching. Unfortunately, I saw the first paycheck and I said, I can't do this my whole life. Like, that's just the honest truth. I needed to supplement more income. So I started selling used cars. So I was a used car salesperson. I was teaching during the day. And, you don't need a doctorate to know I was getting paid more as a used car salesman than a teacher. So I had to go all in on that. But what's interesting is, even though my title changed, my passion didn't. I was still mentoring. I was still help shaping learning, onboarding for new sales consultants, selling principles. Like, I never left that passion. I just found my way into it while I was selling cars. I sold a car to the right person. He was an executive at the time at AT&T, literally came in, wrote me a check for 2 cars, and he looked me right in the eye and said, "Why are you here?" I said, I don't know. I need a job. And he said, why don't you go to the most future-proofed company that you can? And I said, what is that? And he said, communications. He said, you would be really, really good at AT&T. Funny story, I applied. I got the call from the manager at the store, and he was like, well, I kind of got to hire you. Like, literally the head of HR called me and said, you need to talk to this guy and hire him. So I became a sales rep at AT&T. And again, the passion followed. I was mentoring, onboarding, lead kind of trainer of those coming in. And then I just went through some various positions. I finally got into management leadership with them. I went into their learning and training program. I got to travel the entire country, really build some amazing training programs, meet some amazing people. I did what any good millennial does. I left AT&T for the competition, went to T-Mobile, started building all those learning and developments. And as I was doing all this, I started building my own business. So Go Berg or Go Home, fun tagline with my last name. But this is the true story. I told you this story 100 times, Dr. Fero. I was sitting in a hotel in Dallas, and I was writing resumes. Like, I was literally helping editing resumes for friends and family. And I was watching The Dark Knight. True story. Heath Ledger, Joker, literally there. And it's the scene when he's with the mobsters. And he's like, your solution's easy. You're all hiding. You got to kill the Batman. And they literally asked the Joker, if it's so easy, why don't you do it? And he said, if you're good at something, you don't do it for free. Literally, the only thing missing in that moment was the metaphorical lightning bolt taking me out. And I literally said, why am I not charging for this? In 6 hours, Wix.com, GoBerg or GoHome.com was birthed. And I started writing resumes. And that's how I got into my own entrepreneurial career. That boomed from resume writing to recruitment to staffing to headhunting. I was not giving up on that. And now it's exploded into multiple avenues. But at its core, it's about helping people get their value to organizations who are trying to get some outcomes, and really consulting on talent strategies, learning strategies. And it's a good time to be in this business. I'll just say that. So that's a little bit about the journey of where I come from. But it's been a fun one, and it's just getting started in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, I hearing you reminisce about it, I remember those days of you selling cars, and I remember the conversations we had about, what's next for you. So that's something that, as long as I've known you, it's always been what's next and what else can you do to help, right? Not just to make money, but to help others in the most positive way that you can. And, you mentioned a few times already coaching and mentoring, and that's something obviously that, I'm very passionate about as well. what are some of the differences that you found from when you were coaching and mentoring, working way back at AT&T, maybe not in a position where you were an authority figure, versus now not really managing people, but being enshrined with the position of you're the go-to guy, you're the person who can help us?
Yeah, it's I don't know if it's phases or step one, but I don't care if you're starting in coaching or you're a quote unquote subject matter expert. You have to have the conversation. Yeah, it starts with having the conversation. And typically in my early career, like anyone, I was scared to have those conversations. Oh my God, is the person not going to like me? How am I going to come off? Will they resent me? Does it make it awkward? And I think that's all, logical. I think it's all true. It's all fair when it comes to entry coaching. But in the beginning, my fear drove the conversation, meaning my coaching conversations more like, I just want to tell you, maybe you can do this. My language was weak. My approach was weak, and I was operating in fear. But as you have more coaching conversations, something else also happens. You gain more experience, right? Expertise starts coming with it. And I don't know if it's a Jedi trick or as you become a bigger person here in your career, more expertise, just like anything, repetition. The more you do something, the better you are going to be at it. And coaching is no different than picking up a bat in a batter's box, right? You're going to whiff on a few pitches, but you got to keep swinging. You got to keep picking things up. So I think in my early days, it was getting over the fear of, I need to have this conversation. Oh my God. And it would literally hijack me. Like I would fear having that conversation. I think when I started to realize I was evolving is I was looking forward to the conversation, because I think it coincided with the Alberta's program, where what is coaching? Like coaching has such a negative connotation in society and organizations, but it really got me thinking, like, coaching is simply having a conversation because a behavior is either not being met or it is being met. And all I had to do is zone in on that behavior. And more often than not, more conversations I had, I didn't realize the other perspective, the person getting coached. Because what I find, especially today, people don't get coached as much as they say they do. And when I found myself having more coaching conversations, if you do it right, people really appreciate it, especially if you're the best sales consultant, the best training manager, the best whatever you are, fancy title, right? They respect it, but they probably have aspirations of wanting to be you or be something like you or something like, what they admire to be in a role model. So I think it just naturally evolves into today. Just don't sugarcoat anything. Have that conversation. You don't need a compliment sandwich, right? We all remember start with something good, go with an opportunity and then end with something good. No, be real, be authentic, use your empathy when you can. Because I would find 98 out of 100 conversations I have, especially coaching conversations, I can empathize with the situation. I've either messed up, I've either been in their shoes, I've even done something similar where I could say, hey, it's okay. Here's how we move forward. I think the last thing and the most important thing is you can't graduate to becoming an expert, a senior leader, whatever you want to call, a really good coach today. Coaching is investment. Like my success is your success. If I'm having the coaching conversation with you, I have a vested interest in you. No one, I can't stand it if someone says, hey, Berg, can you go coach this person? Absolutely not. You spot it, you got it. And that means you spot the behavior, you got to have the conversation. I didn't see it, I'm not coaching to it. So typically today, when you can really understand and take a step back that it's more than a conversation, it's trust, communication, it's investment, it's shared learning experiences. that really shifts. And I was not having those coaching conversations in my junior days at AT&T for sure.
So, Chris, I find it so interesting, and I loved hearing you talk about that, because when you said that coaching has a negative connotation, it's such a difference from what I believe and what I experience, because I serve as an executive coach, as a leadership coach from an external perspective, whereas you're looking at it from an internal. So when you're looking to coach someone inside your organization, a lot of times you're going to do it because there is an issue. And maybe that's one of the problems with organizations today, which is what I want to kind of get into in a minute. Because when I go in and coach someone, I'm going in not because there's an issue. I'm coaching executives, high-level executives, who are looking to get better and stronger. They want to get better. Not necessarily they want to fix something. They want to do something so that they can improve their day-to-day. And as much as you're doing that, and I know that's what you do with your people, it sounds to me a little bit like internal in organizations. It's almost looking for like fixing a problem, as opposed to saying, this person is great. Let's put the money, let's put the energy, let's put the effort into making them even better.
Yeah, they're all fair statements. And I'm not trying to knock organizations, but I've had the opportunity to consult with many organizations, and it starts, I hate to say it, the metaphorical hierarchy, it starts at the top. But it's the same thing you tell your doctor. Do you question your doctor's degree on the wall? Same thing. Do you question the CEO's coaching experience? Have you ever seen the CEO coach a person? Like, no, you're just assuming the title and the experience kind of comes with it, right? The profession. So I would say when I walk in, I can tell in the first 30 minutes sitting around the table, whether A, it's a culture of coaching, and B, what the heck is this culture? And the number 3 thing that's a dead giveaway, what are the goals? Like, is it metric driven? Of course, we're all metric driven, but the KPIs and the metrics matter, right? Telecom is not hospitality. Hospitality is not nonprofit. So I can usually tell by sitting around a table. And when I say sitting around the table, my first consultation is never with the higher ups. It is with the middle managers, the entry managers, because they have all the answers. They get it all down from the top, and they're getting it all from the bottom, as you say. So when I talk to the associates and the managers, I don't even want to look at the executives that you're coaching yet until I get that narrative. First thing, talk to them. Second thing is shut up and get in the trenches with them. Just observe. Watch the actions. I don't care how fabricated. You can know I'm coming. You don't change your behaviors in a couple of hours. And I think when I can understand that and see that and observe that, it makes me a stronger presence in front of executives, because I don't blame them. They got a lot on their plate. But my job is to get them to realize your people are extremely valuable, and a way of really realizing your ROI on value is the coaching you can provide them and the outcomes the coaching can produce.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree with that more. Looking at that from going back to our topic for today, right? So you've worked with a lot of organizations. I've worked with a lot of organizations. What do you think is the difference between those organizations that actually put money into training and just kind of put them out in there, do a workshop, have a coaching session, and ones that actually take that and turn it into a culture and turn it into a lasting impact? What are they doing differently?
Yeah, I think the first thing I would say is how do you define success? And when you look at training organizations, and I've been around this block for a while now, we are done with the days of how many people took the training, what's the completion rate. Like, those are, if you're familiar with L&D, Kirkpatrick's 4 levels of measurement, if there's any nerds on the podcast with me, they'll shake their head. We are done with those days. If that is still how you're measuring training, I can tell your organization's already failing. You don't go to an 8-hour workshop and just come out of it better. And I may insult some people with this statement, but if your training isn't focused on business outcomes and what comes afterwards, you're just going to an entertainment shop. like you're going for information and entertainment. If it isn't meant to drive an outcome and it isn't going to reshape your next steps when you get back to your job or back to your cubicle, what are you doing? The best organizations say the training is either the starting point or it's chapter 2. It is part of the journey of getting to that business outcome. So a prime example, I had an organization, they were doing LMS, we got the best digital learning. Great, everyone took the digital learning. What did I do? I went in the trenches, they pull up their LMS, boom, 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 boom. They're taking the training. What do they have in their other hand, Dr. Fero?
Yep.
Instagram wheels, TikToks. I'm like, wow, that training's really hitting that you spent $160,000 on. You're getting your ROI, you got your completions. The difference about those organizations is it's a checkbox to them, right? It's compliance almost. Mm-hmm. The better organizations are putting the workshops together and saying, hey, we don't expect you to learn this in 8 hours. We're going to bring you in for micro sessions. Then you're going to go try it. There's a mentor assigned. They really help break it up because they know the business outcome, it's not going to happen overnight. You have to change the behavior. And I always say, numbers are only behaviors on paper. That's all numbers are. Metrics are just behaviors on paper. So if you have a metric in the red, the first question I would be asking organizations, and the great ones do this, what behaviors are driving this metric? And then we start with the training. And really bringing people together for training, whether it's digital or in person, it's really just to show them, hey, knock out everything around you. Let's just zone in and focus here. We got a problem and we want to help you fix it. But just making that investment, I know I appreciate it still when I go to a 2-hour workshop. It feels great to go to a workshop and kind of escape your environment. So I guess in summary, bad organizations are still in LMS, completion world. How do we get people to training? Transformation, like training is completions. The transformation in our conversation today is the behavioral change. And the only way that happens is get your butt out of the training room and get into the actual job and expect managers to hold you accountable, expect coaching, like drive it together. So I would say the investment sometimes is overdone on technology and underdone on people.
Yeah, no, that's a great way to look at it, because we all see organizations that will bring us in for workshops, for trainings, but do they really take it and put it and embed it in the culture? And that's really what needs to be done. I had a client many years ago that had on his whiteboard, he had a phrase, things that get measured get done. So that's a great first step, right? We need to measure things and get them done. But how do we make sure that they're getting done consistently? How do we make sure that what we do today continues to go? So we do have a few questions here that I neglected to ask because I've been listening to you so thoroughly. I didn't look at the questions. So David from LA had a couple of questions going back to talking about sales. I'm just going to read them both together. He said, this is David from LA. A friend of mine said that if you want to be successful in life, you should start selling. Become a salesman. You'll learn what failure is, and that will help you a lot. And he came back, which this is, I think, a good question, Chris. Which is harder, selling a car or telling a powerful executive that he's incompetent?
I would say first, David, LA, hoping you're a Laker fan. This is coming from a place of love.
You're going to say something about that.
I would say C, selling a car to an incompetent CEO. No, I'm just kidding. They both have their challenges, but I would still say selling a car. Because the hardest thing to sell someone is an item, a product, or a service where you have to part ways with your hard-earned money. An incompetent executive, it technically isn't their money. So they can part with it a little bit more. I have had some of the roughest conversations in the world with incompetent CEOs, or how I would call them. But I would still say selling the car to a family who you know needs it, but they're not just buying a car. They're buying, is this mode of transportation going to get my family to school, to me to work, and to me to all the other places I have to get, it's a bigger decision than what people realize. So I would say selling a car 100% of the time.
Thank you for that, Chris. So we have one question from Zita from Hungary, who's an executive coach as well. And Zita's saying, how often do you turn down an assignment because you can see it won't work out? Does that happen often? The coaching profession faces serious challenges. So I suppose people have to think twice before turning down an assignment.
Yeah, I scope everything. I don't turn down much because of my market, but I think in general, it's the person. I can get on a call. If you're lecturing me, commanding me, we need to do this, we need to do that. Well, if you know what the heck you need to do, what do you need me for? I appreciate when people come to me with, we're struggling. We're looking at it this way. We're trying to get here. We don't have all the answers. Like, am I truly going to come in and help impact your organization? But I would tell you, don't turn down any assignment until you see the person who's in charge of the assignment. That's where good old emotional intelligence comes in. You can feel that vibe right away with somebody, and no, I never turn anything down until I have an opportunity to connect with that person.
I think that's absolutely right. And I would agree with that 100%. So, you have to not just talk to the executive, like you said, talk to the person who's looking to be coached or they want to be coached. And I would take it even a step further. Something I do is talk to the stakeholders. You've got to get a good picture of what everyone thinks about this person's style, about their ability to be open to things, and see if they're coachable. And at that point, I would probably start a short-term engagement, do a couple of sessions, talk a little bit, and then at that point say, you know what, this might not be the right fit. So we have a question here, but what if the actual trainer would like to achieve some kind of learning and development, but the company's HR is rather focused on the entertainment factor and just put a check into the box and move forward?
Yeah, it's a great question. I would say work backwards. What is that cost of entertainment for the company today? So great. How many 50 people go through the training? What's their median salary? Break that down to an hourly. Okay, it costs $200, I don't know, a person for these 2 hours of training times how many people. I've learned one thing in all the organizations. You take the S and you put the two lines through it. Dollar signs is what gets conversations started and really on track. So I would say you probably don't have the true cost of that entertainment and showing where that money is going, but it also is two-way. As an executive coach, as you say you are, where could that money be repurposed? So if you're already, with good news is your company's already spending it. That's great. I have companies who won't even do that. So if they're already vested into that, how do you then take those funds and say, we could be doing this better? The key is, how do you do it better? That's your job. Get strategic. How would you do it? Change it to business outcome. And then you can really start moving the needle.
So going with that, right? Going with everything we've been talking about in terms of training already, how do you turn the lessons from the training? And you, I know, work internally and also externally with organizations. How do you make those lessons from, I come in there, I do a 2.5-hour workshop for you. What are you doing after that to make sure that people really embed it into their day-to-day?
Yeah, I think it starts even before your workshop. You should be a part of the overall goal. So leadership doc is coming in. You might be phase 2. So first thing for me, I need to know what that workshop is. But here's the most simplest way to do it, Dr. Fero. Are your do I attend that workshop? Why aren't the leaders in that workshop? If this is the expected behavior and they're paying for it, but they haven't attended it or they don't have any vested interest in going, I would challenge that right away. I'd say, why don't you sit in and kind of learn along with us? If that can't happen, what comes afterwards, I would hold you accountable, H, in terms of your next steps have to be helped shaped by me. If I'm that executive in the company, when you leave that workshop, you've got to transition into, my workspace.
Mhm.
So I would probably say where you end your workshop is me coming in to influence the ending of saying, when you leave this workshop today, I expect you are going to be assigned a mentor. We are going to try doing these two things. And then that has to be followed up. Thank you for attending the workshop. Hey, managers, like that's honestly where the work starts in all of this. So the follow through is everything. But in all of these workshops or trainings, that last slide is where we actually start. Like that is where we're going to start the training. I get you there, H, on the last slide of what I need to do and kind of those incremental next steps. Then H, you can build the rest of the workshop out. But I have to have oversight on what you're going to leave with and those expected changes over the 30, 60, 90 days, whatever it is. That is mission critical in today's world.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think we've talked about this before, something I do personally, and I don't know if you do it, at the end of every workshop, every coaching session, everything I do, every class now, is I have them fill out action items. Everyone sitting in front of me has a paper in front of them where they're writing down, what can I do based on what it is that we talked about in our workshop? And I don't wait until the end of the session. As they're sitting there, they should be writing it down. So this way, when the session's over, they have next steps. To go further with what you're saying, though, and this is where I really want your expertise, Chris, how does the organization build that into the culture then? So people have their action items. You're the executive, let's say. What are you going to do with that to make sure that it becomes a lasting behavioral change?
So first thing I would advise on is, I love your next steps, Howard. My feedback on that workshop, I'm using you as an example. I know you do all this, but where do those next steps go? What good are just documenting the next steps for me? I would end that workshop with, we are all going to email the executive our next steps. I want that executive to have 20 freaking emails in their email box of the workshop I just sent. And I know it's obnoxious and you might be thinking, is that realistic? I've done it and I've yielded the best results because I'm reminding the executives, these people are what drive everything you are looking to drive in your strat plan, your fiscal plan, whatever it is. I want the executives and the big bosses feeling that. From there, sure, they get all those. Do they read them? I want them yelling at me, Chris, why did I get 20 emails? Are you going to respond? Would you like some help responding? I can't drive culture change without their help. I can't do it in an organization. You can't drive any of it if you don't have their buy-in. So when you take those next steps from the workshop, if you don't want to go that aggressive, it should go, I call it the level of 2. It should go to the next 2 levels of management. So if Chris is in your workshop and I'm a manager, it should go to my director and my senior director because they had input. They had input in this workshop. They agreed it was a good use of my time, and they vested me not doing my job and going to this workshop for a reason. From there, that's where the leader has to, like, who called you to put this workshop on? If I'm there, I'm then synthesizing and summarizing all this info, and then I'm packaging it to the leaders to say, mentor, here's a 30-day follow-up. I'll do all that work for you. I'll give you the exact template to follow. And the good leaders say, I don't need the template. I'm already vested. I'm going to be there. The other thing you could do is whatever business outcome you're trying to drive, there's probably a metric or something on there. Hold yourself accountable. By this date, I expect to see a change in this. Even if you don't hit it, no one does that in organizations today. No one is emailing their boss and saying, in 30 days, I'm going to drive this by 5% because I'm going to start doing this. Even if you drive it 1%, you won. You drive it 2%, you won. If you do nothing, you still won because you're still vested in that. So I would say my expertise tells you, get bold. These people just have titles. Never fear the titles, because don't forget who's driving the success of the organization. It's the people in the workshops.
Awesome. And then I think Nico from Cullen just wrote a question or a point, and he loves your energy, which I do as well. So he's saying that he's not a coach, but friends recently debated whether coaching can be done online or only in person. So, I'd like your take on this too, and then I'll give you my take as well. I do most of my coaching now online, virtually. I find it to be very effective. I feel that people are comfortable online now, especially since the pandemic, and they're comfortable sitting at their own desk, talking just like we're doing right now, and explaining things. From a technical point, which, Chris, we're going to get into that in a couple of seconds also with AI, I personally love having the AI note taker, because when I'm done coaching somebody, I send them a summary of everything we discussed with specific action steps of what they have to do and what I have to do before our next session to keep the conversation moving forward. In the past, I would be writing notes, they would be writing notes, and you're not able to focus as much on the conversation. So that's my feeling. And Chris, what do you think about all this?
I agree wholeheartedly. I would say have the conversation. Whether it's in person or digital, you just have to have the conversation. If you have all the AI and the note-taking and all these luxuries that we have now, even better, have the conversation. Because if you don't, the same thing, whether it's digital or in person, you're doing an injustice to both of you. If you're avoiding it, shame on you. Use the means, get in front of it as quick as you can. And if digital is your first avenue, use digital. I would say 60-40 is my coaching, 60% digital, 40% in person. But that's just to go back to your first question, H, of me growing as a talent leader. I know I have to have a digital to correct an immediate behavior, but I know in person, the next time I see you, I'm going to bring this full circle. I'm going to sit down with you heart to heart, something AI can't do right now. Genuine emotional intelligence to say, how are you doing? Because that matters more. So have it. And if you get a chance to follow up in person, maximize that investment.
And I think you hit on a key point of why we still have jobs, because we are still able to do more than just provide content, which AI might be able to do. I might be able to have the leadershipdoc.ai and have a bot take all my stuff and put it in there, but they're not going to be able to have the conversations yet. Hopefully not for a long time that we can. But I do want to kind of move in a little bit in that direction, Chris. So you've worked in talent development and talent management for a long time now. What are you seeing as best practice? What's coming up? What has changed over the last 5 years in terms of how we actually create lasting change? I keep going back to that term.
Oof. I'm buffering. I'm here. I'm buffering, I call it. I'm internalizing. It's a loaded question because what a wild 5 years. Like, let's just step back for a second. We went through a pandemic where we got taken away from human interactions and we went full digital. AI has been around for 50 years, but that was the gas on the fire to accelerate AI because we wanted more in the digital space. So now you come back to the office, whatever your office policy is, you're being forced back into the office, and now you have AI with, the next thing on the list. So I would say for this podcast to ground it, AI absolutely has changed the way we work. Is it going to replace some jobs? Yes, it will. Is it going to replace some administrative tasks and low volume work or high volume, low complexity work? Yes. But you have to remember one thing about AI. You said it best, Dr. Fero. It's content. It's information. The reason you hire a Dr. Fero or a Dr. Berg is not for the information. I can do this whole podcast with AI. I can literally have you speaking in the questions and it generating answers, and I can mask my mannerisms and you won't know I'm using AI. What the hell are we doing? Why would you do that? Our expertise is everything to us. So I would say corporate learning, higher education, they have the same problem. Anyone can get this information. You could be a marketing genius. You could be a contract lawyer. You can get any information for dollars a month. The difference is the expertise that comes with it. And where I would say what's changing is people are still the ones making the decision on the AI strategy. And I've seen the worst decisions ever on AI decisions, which my eye get called in. And I've seen some really good decisions. And I think the best example of it is look at Ford. I don't know if you caught that article a few weeks ago. Ford fired 350 senior engineers off the product line because they thought AI could replace the expertise. Ford was mistaken. They just hired all these people back. What did AI do? It replaced the information, not 25 years of looking at the bolts, looking at the car and saying, this is off. This is not going to run. This is going to lean. And now what is Ford doing? They're taking those 350 engineers and they're helping to build the AI and layer in the expertise. And guess what? It's still not going to be as impactful as those folks who have seen it and done it. So I think in summary, I would say if you haven't embraced AI yet, shame on you. Don't avoid it. Like, start learning about it, start understanding what it does. But I would say the second part of AI strategy, be careful. AI strategy in organizations is like a golfer's handicap. I never believe anyone's handicap. Dr. Fero, you tell me you're an 8. I don't believe it until I see it. Because more often than not, you could be a great golfer. You might not be that great. Same thing with AI strategies. Everyone is still trying to figure out where we're going, where the investments. And the third thing I would say is if you think ChatGPT or Claude or Grok, that's like 4% of what AI can do. It can be so much more, but I don't think it's replacing us anytime soon because I'll be completely honest, my revenue has never looked better because I actually think the over technology actually forces more into in-person meetings. And that is why, fun fact for you all, what business is coming back? Drive-in movie theaters. I'm just going to leave that there. Why would drive-in movie theaters be coming back in the age of AI and technology? You're tired. You're overstimulated. You just want to drive. Have some popcorn, pop the top down, and watch movies. That is kind of what's going to happen with this exhaustion. Doesn't mean it's still relevant and it needs to be looked after in all your organizations today.
Love it. Love it. You know, as you're talking, it made me think of something that I haven't spoken about in a long time. And looking at the difference between the employee handbook and the know-how that people have in the organization. You know, how do we really get things done? And that's much different than those 300 people who got fired at Ford when they realized it's about their know-how.
And sorry to jump in. That is such a great example because I just did an engagement. Employee handbook. Everyone who's listening to this podcast has probably worked with someone in HR. Do you know HR gets asked 213 repeated questions every year? What's my PTO policy? What's my leave policy? What's the overtime? When do I get paid? What's my maternity? What's my paternity? You could take that handbook, load it into a bot, and have all those questions answered. Now, the value is not the handbook. It's that practitioner just saved 116 hours a year answering repeatable, common questions because people don't read the handbook. That's a great use of AI because what can that practitioner do now? Pay equity strategy, increased workflows, employee engagement, hire Dr. Fero for a workshop and sit down and maybe attend it. That's where AI can really help you, those high volume, low complexity tasks. The key is I'm not getting rid of you. I'm unleashing you to do better in my org, not answer these questions.
Well, that's exactly it. And I know, we both talk about this all the time. AI is there to complement and to help make things easier so that we can think at the higher level, work at the higher level. And I don't think we're there yet. I don't think because people are still playing around, like you said, with ChatGPT. They don't necessarily know what the capabilities are to make their lives easier so they can do better work, not just so they can do no work or less work. We have one question more about AI, but then I want to get off of AI, Chris, because I want to talk about all the things that you've done in talent management and talent development, and kind of what are you doing that today differently than you did before? What are best practices to really train our people best? But we have a question here from Paul from Northeastern, which I'm scared to ask and get your answer to. I keep reading how amazing AI is across every field. Will we be able to build a good AI coach, or does one already exist?
Yeah, they do exist. There are some really good ones. Just for proprietary confidentiality, I can't really say the programs or the companies, but I can tell you they absolutely exist. What I can tell you about them, though, it's not much different than what you're using ChatGPT for today, right? Hey, I need you to be the persona of a contract negotiator and look at this contract to punch holes in it. Remember the premise of the AI coaches and what they're really doing. They're building your confidence to have the conversation. They're reassuring you as a leader. Like, here's an exact prompt. I can type it in. Hey, I'm getting ready to coach Dr. Fero. He's brand new in role. He did an executive presentation and it didn't go that well. I should add more oversight. That coach, first thing they're saying to you is, okay, learning opportunity, it settles you. And that's okay. Like, get grounded, get logical. Sure, it can help prompt what to say, but you still got to say it, right? It's the analogy that I use. If I told you, Paul, that you had to go hit a 100-mile-an-hour fastball from Roger Clemens tomorrow, and Derek Jeter, all the greats were around you for a day. Look for this, look for that, open your legs, grab the bit, like count to 2, whatever. Guess what happens when you stand in the batter's box? That fastball is going right by you. Like, it doesn't matter, but you felt good. You felt confident going into that batter's box. Where I'm finding where the AI coaches are the best, and this is the human part of it, it can give you all the prompts you need for this coaching scenario. You know what it can't get you? You knowing the person you're coaching. Hey, I know they don't take well to this. I know a year ago here, previous conversation, that's you as the leader. You should be able to use that coaching prompt to layer in objectives you know will come because you know the person, where you know their strengths and opportunities are. That AI bot is not going to know that. So I would say, yes, they exist. All it's doing is making 2 hours of prep into 15 minutes and giving you the confidence to execute the conversation. Still got to have the conversation, though.
Thank you. That was good. Looking at development, looking at trainings, what's coming? What are we doing? You know, not just coaching, but looking at training in general. What are organizations doing today, and what will they be doing tomorrow to, again, have that lasting impact?
Yeah, it's a good question. There's a lot of things on the horizon, and I hate to answer it this way, but the future of training isn't training at all. It's probably the best way I would answer that question. Experiential learning, you said that. It's not new. It's getting more investment. Personalized learning. One size isn't fitting all anymore. AI is helping to solve for that. AI-enabled coaching, you know, our friend Paul is calling that out, where a co-pilot AI is going to be able to help you, right? Keep you on track. Maybe say, hey, you attended Dr. Fero's workshop 21 days. Where are you with those next steps? Because I'm not only going to nudge you, I'm going to nudge your boss. Like, AI can do that now. Like, what are we going to do? You have to embed learning into your work directly. Like, we're moving away from the era of events. And it's really business outcomes. You're going to see micro learning increase. You're going to see AI coaching increase, real-time guidance. I'm proud to say mentoring programs are getting big investments from organizations who are all in, and it makes my heart smile. Learning embedded inside systems. People don't want to go to 2 places. I've implemented more learning management systems than anyone. You're not going to stop your work, go to an LMS and take the training. It needs to be embedded in your flow of work, as we say. And AI is going to help you. I think where AI is going to help is it's going to micro learn. You follow me for 14 days. You see what I'm doing, emails, leads, maybe talking to clients directly. If AI is following me, it's not there to judge me. It's to say, man, you're doing a really good job here. You're doing pretty good here. These quick bites and this 13 minutes of investment of learning, it's going to make you so much better in your next few calls. And guess what? You're going to take those, because I also think this up and coming generation, they're very motivated. They're motivated for growth. They're motivated for titles. They're motivated for more. Not to say every generation isn't, but it's a good storm coming. So I would answer that question with, the future of training is not training. It's actual learning in the flow of work, and AI keeping you accountable to your work and how you can get better at your work, not the general work.
So we've got people at all levels. I know we have thousands of people watching these webinars. I'm very excited about each week. Knowing that you have people at all different levels, Chris, what can they do today, or what can organizations do today to kind of take that one first step to moving forward in this?
Yeah, I would say, I love you, Dr. Fero. You know that. I love all the people who have helped shape where I've gotten today. But a training class or a degree did not get me where I am today. Opportunity provided by people like yourself got me here. So the first step you can take, and this is the number one coaching I give to someone who's really like, what do I do? Like, how do I take the next first step? Ask this question to your boss. What is the one task or expectation that is the hardest for you on your plate right now? Where is the one task or goal or initiative that you are struggling with the most? And then guess what? Go do it with them. Jump in there with them. Create the opportunity. It's the best learning you're going to get. You're going to get a mentor in your boss because you're helping. You're going to get failures. You're going to get successes. You're probably going to be on a bigger initiative. And even if it's not, you're proven that you can take on more. So if there's not an opportunity in front of you, look your boss directly in the eye. What's the hardest thing I can help you with? And go help them fix it.
I think that is a fantastic place for us to close off today, because my last question was going to be, what can we do? What can one person do to start moving forward? And I think you answered that really well throughout today's session. Do something, right? Move forward, talk to your boss, help them identify a need, and help to figure out how you can help them fill that need, no matter what position you're at. So, Chris, thank you so much for everything today. This was a fantastic, and I think, I don't remember who it was, I think it was Nico who said that, just great energy, and I couldn't say that any better. You are always a great guest on anything and anytime we talk about things. So thank you, and I really do appreciate it. I do want to remind everyone that our last session for this Leadership Summer Series will be next Friday, not Tuesday, but Friday at 9 a.m., when we're going to be talking to Renell Higgins, the Commissioner for the Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection for the state of Connecticut. The Commissioner and I are going to talk about leadership and decision-making in complex situations, which obviously he's got a lot of experience with. Before he was the Commissioner, he was the Chief of Police and the Vice President at Yale University, and he's got some great stories. I know I spoke with him when I interviewed him for my book, Leadership in 5G. So please join us next Friday at 9 a.m. And until next time, just have a great week. Keep leading. And Chris, thank you so much for this great insights today.